And last but not least, what's a panel without a South African? Clive van Deventer, the new CEO of Bartercard Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Clive. Another big round of applause for Clive as he makes his way to his chair. Yeah, woo! Come on. All right, fantastic. But Clive also, as the CEO of Bartercard, they spend $1.6 million a year in sponsorship money. So can you both talk to me? What are people looking for when bringing that deal together? Nick, you want to kick us off?
One of the key things that Nick had said, it's all about partnership. And that's what it really is. As the head of the company, I look at a couple of sort of things. One, we've got KPIs to hit. That is it. The shareholders look at our numbers. They look at the bottom line. They're really not concerned about what's on the jersey or what's on the name. They want to have real results. Results are your KPIs. So I would have a person who's the head of sponsorships and sales, and he's measured by those KPIs. Those KPIs are, what is my return on investment? My return on investment is all about lead generation. It's about sales. It's about turning this partnership into real money for me. Most importantly, I also have a look at, from a brand point of view, what brand is all about the emotional and the rational connection that you make. So the emotional connection that you make can be done through somebody like the Reds. When they win, you make a lot of emotional connection. When they lose, you lose as well. When you're with a team that is successful, you are successful, and there's an emotional connection with that. So, from our point of view, it's we share in those successes and we share in those particular the losses. So it's the emotional connection. The rational connection, it's all about the money. For every $1 that you spend, it's the tip of the iceberg. Whatever sticks out, that's a little piece that you spend in the sponsorships. You've got to have a look at all the money that you spend behind that to make it work. And that is what people, might get a sponsorship for $200,000, but if you're not prepared to put another $800,000 into it, it's not going to work for you. Yeah. So it is about partnership. It's about the emotional and the rational connection. It's about hitting those KPIs. For us, we're business to business, and we're now launching in business to consumer. Business to business is one side, and from our side, we really like the idea of being able to have the networking events, because that's when we can really communicate on a one-on-one basis and build those relationships. It's about introducing you to somebody that is relevant to your business. So, and it's about basically bringing those, the networks to your business. Yep. It's about basically endorsing. It's a win-win situation. Yep. Likewise, from a company point of view, we also like to share and bring other businesses to an asset. Yep. So from our particular perspective, it's all about creating win-win. It's all about going out there, and there's a fun part, and you enjoy that. The way that I normally take decisions, yes, we do a lot of research. Yes, we've got internal lawyers. We have a look and see what if something goes wrong. What does the agreement look like? What's the exit strategy? What are the clauses in there? What is it for non-performance? It's like a marriage. When you get married, you really don't you don't want to do an anti-nuptial agreement. You don't want to have a look and see what happens when you get divorced. But you better do that when you spend a lot of money on a sponsorship. Make sure that you know make sure that you understand from a company's point of view how you're going to measure them. Hold them accountable. We hold you guys accountable. And if you don't produce, we'll move on. If there's not a cultural fit, we'll move on. There's a lot of other companies we'll go to. And we'll do whatever it takes to make something work. And we're just excited about a new sponsorship, as many of you would be when you get a new sponsor coming on board. So from a business perspective, I normally distantiate myself in the early stages of any agreement. I set clear KPIs for my team. I tell my hunting dogs, that is what I want. That is what we need. These are the KPIs. This is how you're going to get measured. And I'll go out and get them. It's very seldom that I actually get contacted by any sponsorship until after the agreement has actually been signed. And often, I don't even get past signing the agreement. because I just have a look at it and I say, this didn't make sense. And if the guy had to possibly, or the lady, or the BDO, a business development manager, had to actually take the time to actually perhaps approach me and explain a little bit more or do something, I might have looked at it a little bit different. But a lot of agreements don't even go past that stage. So because I don't know what is it in for us. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's what's in it for us.
Yep.
What's in it for our members.
Yep.
What's in it for the consumer, and obviously what's in it for the club. And if there's a perfect match, then it's great. Most successful sponsorships for us is when we've got somebody that is dedicated to understand our business and works with us to realize the potential. And if we don't have that, the relationship falls flat after the first year.
Yeah, I think now with a lot of larger sponsorships as well, you're seeing some that came off the capital raising space, which is the sunset clause has become a much bigger scenario now, but also the incentive clauses too. So if there is an uplift in brand awareness and things of that nature, actually tying it back to that, right?
And I think the important thing on that, you've got to show what is success and what is failure, and what does failure mean. And we always have a look at this right at the beginning of the contract. At the end of the year, end of the 2 years or end of 3 years, we don't want to change sponsorships. We look at good sponsorships long term. But you always have a look at it and say, what does success look like in this agreement? What does failure look like in this agreement? What would happen if it was failure? And that is how we look at it, and then we'll let the legal guys do it. And it's always better to do that right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Start it from the start. Don't just take a template. Start from the start.